This lesson is about some more opening traps in which you can lose your queen. The first one I would like to show you is in the following game. Here, white are trying to take control of the center, while black are fighting with the following moves. This is what we call the French defense. White develops their knight to c3, and black exchanges a pawn. Then black offers a knight exchange on f6, which is accepted by white. And here, white are simply developing their bishop to d3. Now, it may look like the d4 pawn is no longer protected, but if you're playing black, you shouldn't take it, because this is where the first trap is. If you take the pawn, white can use a very powerful tactic called discovered attack. Just by moving their bishop to b5, they're opening up a discovered attack on the queen, and at the same time they're checking the king with their bishop. Obviously, black need to defend their king first, and after they do so, they're simply losing the queen. So this was the first trap that you need to be careful about. That's why knight c6 is much safer move. But if white play knight f3, which looks like a normal developing move, you need to be really careful, because they are setting up another trap for the queen. And if you're not careful and play, for example, bishop d6, then you can lose your queen with the following move. Bishop g5 attacks your queen, which is actually trapped. All the possible squares the queen can move to are attacked by the white pieces. So here it is, the queen is gone. And here's another example how you can fall into the first trap of this game. This is another variation of the French defense. These are all normal developing moves. But here, if black decides to win a pawn and captures the d pawn with the knight, followed by queen takes the knight on d4, they are falling into the same trap of the discovered attack, where the king is in check and at the same time the queen is under attack, and that's how black are losing the queen. Okay, this is another short game from which we can learn a lot. This is how the game started. Black are preparing for the fianchetto on the king side, and white are developing, starting with knight f3, followed by bishop c4, attacking the weak spot for the black straight away. And if black are not careful and play knight d7, this would be a very bad move, because they are not only blocking their own bishop, they're also blocking the queen and the king, which will turn out to be really bad in a couple of moves. Because after white play knight g5, bringing a second piece attacking the f7 pawn, which was the weak spot for the black king, now black are in big trouble. It may look like the only defense for protecting this pawn with another piece would be knight h6, but this is actually a bad defense, because white can now easily win the game. What do you think would be the winning move for white now? Okay, this is actually the winning move. Bishop f7 may look like a piece sacrifice, but is actually winning the game, because black have two choices now. They can either move their king to f8, which will allow white to do the royal fork, or they can capture this bishop with the knight, but then knight e6 captures the black queen because she is surrounded, or as we say, smothered between her own pieces, and there is no escape for the queen. Now I'm going to finish this lesson about opening traps with two similar examples of how you can lose your queen if you're not careful about a tactic called decoy. A decoy is when you lure a piece away from protecting another piece, and that's how you win that other piece. This is how the first game starts. We have a Sicilian defense. I'm not going to analyze in details this opening. Both white and black are playing normal developing moves. But here, if black plays g6, this would be not a good move because allows white to start attacking. After a knight exchange on c6, they can play e5, attacking the black knight on f6, and if black are not careful and capture the pawn on e5, this would be an absolute blunder. White can easily win now. Can you see how? What would you play with white now? Let's see this all over again. From this position, white are sacrificing their bishop on f7 just to force the black king away from his queen. Of course, the king cannot move to d7 because this square is attacked by the white queen. So the only choice for black is to capture the bishop on f7, and this is how black are losing their queen. Let's see this all over again. From this position, white are sacrificing their bishop on f7 just to force the black king away from his queen. Of course, the king cannot move to d7 because this square is attacked by the white queen. So the only choice for black is to capture the bishop on f7, and this is how black are losing their queen. And here is the other similar example. Again, we have a Sicilian defense, but this time white are sacrificing a pawn just to go ahead in developing their pieces. And here, if black are not careful and capture the e-pawn, then white can win this game with the power of decoy. I'm sure you can find this out easily. Here it is, bishop f7 checks the king, and at the same time is a discovered attack on the queen. Black are forced to capture the bishop, and this is how they're losing the queen. Try to remember all these opening traps and all the tactics that were used in them.